All right, folks. So thank you very much. We are planning to do this in three segments. First is a report out that we are providing on behalf of the steering committee. We are at the 6 months mark. We're really about 7 months mark. Just a reminder, everyone, that we had our initial out of cycle election in November. And so this was a special election, and everyone on the steering committee are serving for 13 months. However, we will be having um, our normal election at the end of the year. So it would be for a 2-year term, except for the president and the vice president, which are, acting positions. We don't actually have a president or vice president position. It rotates according to the regions. So, and then we're very happy that Sherwin has joined us. And if we were to have other candidates who would join us, we will give them some time to speak at that time. And then main thing is having some ideas about membership and Q&A. So we'll advance from there. Um, why am I not advancing? Okay, this is interesting. Oh, there we go. They just jumped to, there we go. All right. So what have we done? Formation, we are successfully registered. It took a long time. Megan and I were like on chat all the time with each other and a lot of conversation and asking people to walk into Secretary of State because we couldn't get a straight answer from them. But nevertheless, we cross that bridge. We are officially registered as a public benefit nonprofit organization. We had already received our EIN number, so federal had already recognized us. It was a state that had not recognized us, and then we were able to do that. And we have applied for affiliation with CADEM. It's still pending Rules Committee approval. Unfortunately, as some of you may know, the Organizational Development Committee was dismantled last year, and their credentialing responsibility was transferred to the Rules Committee, but Rules Committee had never done it. So they send us a form, an online form that we completed, and we submitted the $50 fee by the deadline in February. And then in March, that some of us were um, in Sacramento. I spoke with Emma Harper, who told me that they were going to have a special meeting in April to figure out how they would be doing credentialing for organizations. And then by May or June, right after the election, we should be hearing from the next steps. Well, I have followed up twice with Emma Harper, and we have not got any response from them. They've had zero communication with us along the way, and of course, with Malahat not being in the secretary position anymore, it's kind of hard. Although Malahat has offered to reach out to Emma, apparently they are still in contact. And you know, I was hoping Malahat had mentioned that she would be on this call today, but she's not here with us yet. But nevertheless, we're going to continue, as an independent organization, a democratic organization that's independently and progressively active in engaging Iranian American Democrats in California. We did have discussion about what does affiliation with CDP mean. We had a special steering committee meeting in May, and it seemed like if we wanted to bring about change from within the party, it was still a goal that we will strongly pursue. However, it's not going to stop us from doing everything that we have already been doing or we plan to be doing. That would be just an additional, affiliation, but we could always also work as Progressive Democrats of America does, or our Rev is doing, or Sunrise, and a lot of other groups that work closely with the Democratic Party but are not necessarily part of the Democratic Party. So again, we will continue to pursue that until we are told otherwise. But right now, the ball is in CDP's court, and we haven't heard from them. We did have an amendment in our bylaws to include our endorsement process in January, and we also added the uh, route of using Slack in order to be able to get some votes, because we only meet on quarterly basis in most of the committees except for our outreach committee that meets at least monthly, or sometimes more. And our there were things that coming up that we couldn't just wait until our quarterly meeting to be able to get that. We still meet the 60% threshold that is required. We still meet quorum, but we're just not waiting for having a meeting. The proposals come into Slack, and the steering committee put their vote on there. So I'm not going to get much into the endorsement process. I want to get move on to the next pieces, and then maybe Christopher would be able to speak to us about that. And it's a feedback topic. The very big one on the policy development. I don't know if Passion John wants to talk. I know he said he was sitting in a flight, was ready to fly to New York. So I'll take the privileged to speak on his behalf. But a great work that was done within that committee that Passion, leads, was to set up our sort of 10 commandment, 10 core values. There is extensive work that was done onto this, and it went through the regular process where we had pretty much 100% consensus in the subcommittee, and then it was presented to the steering committee, and steering committee had 100% consensus on our values as well. So it's a strong foundation for us. It really helps us when it comes to issues that are presented to various committees or topics that we are covering in our newsletter. We always reflect back on our 10 values. If you haven't read them, I highly recommend that you go back and read those. We also, in the policy development, analyzed 86 measures and propositions that were presented across the state for the primaries, and we provided our recommendations both in English and in Persian in our newsletter, in our website, and in our social media. So that's part of our, our mission to educate and empower our community to be informed voters. And we did issue a formal letter in support of CalCare, and although CalCare did not, unfortunately, pass through the legislation, but nevertheless, we took a stand right before it was going through that cycle process, and we intend to also issue a letter for our stand on the recent decision of overturning Roe v. Wade, and I'm sure that would be presented to the group as well. So if I can only figure out why this is not advancing, it would be great. Any suggestion? I hit space, I hit enter, and I hit up, down, sideways, and it's not doing
usually
it.
Usually left, right arrow does it for me.
Left is not doing it. Right is not doing it. Bottom, top, none of them is doing it. So I'm just gonna get out of my. Oh, let me see. I may have to stop sharing. Sorry about that. I think it just froze on me. There we go. Okay, and then I can perhaps reshare. And I'm sorry that this first part I'm doing a lot of talking, but I'm trying to cover as much as possible without. If there is some way I can just make this bigger. 100%. Are you guys able to read that? I'm just trying to avoid going to slideshow mode. You guys
yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So, Christopher, are you able to? Would you like to speak through this? I know you're driving, or would you like me to speak on your behalf?
If you don't mind, I'm in a place where you may not, I may cut in and out. So if you can just cover the basics, and if there are questions, I can address them.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, so we did establish a process and candidate questionnaire. It's been vetted, it's been in use. As you can see, we were very happy. We had several rounds of endorsement. So our endorsement, our focus for the primaries was initially just on those that have gone through the CDP endorsement, and we're going to be on the primary, on the June primary. You may have seen our communication where we failed to know that in Long Beach, the mayor race was also on the primary, and Samia is, the city council in LA was also in the primary. So we quickly acted on that. The mayor didn't feel like there was an urgency in the endorsement, although she provided her, responses, which is going to be reviewed in this new cycle of endorsement. But with Sam, he had been pursuing that, so we expedited that process. Again, fulfilling all of the quorum and requirements of 60% votes, and in almost all cases of these 15, except one or two, we had 100% consensus on the endorsement. As you can see, these individuals, some are incumbents, well-known incumbents, but there are others who are new to to their races. And the way we selected these, obviously, was whether, on their how they had responded to. Well, no, let me go back. On the CDP ones, we did not send them a questionnaire. We did research on them. We looked at which areas there are, large presence of Iranian Americans, or based on the knowledge that we have from the incumbents, if they've been an ally to the Iranian American community. And then those research were discussed, and we narrowed it down to the individuals that you see here. For all the new people, we did submit, ask them to submit their responses to our questionnaire, and we assessed that. As Shervin John is here, and he is one of the people who had done it. Um, and the next one, unfortunately, out of these 15, 14 of the races did move on. There was only one race, Shervin's race, that he came third place. And we're going to hear more about it from Shervin. Outreach Fiberton, you're on the call now.
Salam, من اینجام.
Okay. Would you like to cover your area?
Of course. Thank you. So far, hello everyone. So we've been very active in the outreach committee. We have been able to send out 6 issues of our newsletter, which one was bilingual, and one extra that we sent is specific for the June 7th primary. Our newsletter subscriber have gone over 2,000. We're up to 2,300 right now. And our task is basically, let me read a few things that we, according to the bylaws, chapter for this committee is as follows: training and skill building, leadership development and strategic planning, helping affiliate clubs develop candidate recruitment, developing outreach strategies, such as developing our newsletter, also flyers, printed educational promotional material. So we have been active in all those, except we're just planning on a training maybe later on this summer. But as I mentioned, the newsletter has gone out. We also have collaborated with other Iranian American to organize a very successful fundraiser for Katie Porter, one of our endorsed candidates. That was in Huntington Beach. The other thing that we did as far as field help of our endorsed candidate is we send out 4,050 get out the vote city specific text with the images of our endorsed candidates. And the other thing that we did is a few of us participated in a literature drop that was in Corona del Mar for two of our. It was on Sunday before election. Two of our candidates, Katie Porter for Congressional District 47 and Kim Carr, who's running for state senate. So we participated in voter guides that included those candidates. So those are our accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been very busy, and we hope that we keep growing that newsletter subscriber list. All right, membership. I don't
Sudi,
think.
Can I add a couple of things on endorsement before we?
Of course, yes.
Continue?
Yes.
Sorry, I just parked the car really quickly. So I just wanted to say we have had a lot of lively discussions and meetings with the endorsement committee. So I want to thank the members of the committee for this. Has been probably the most dedicated group that have continuously met. We had to do a lot of pivoting. We thought initially this was going to be an easy primary because we were only looking at the Kadem list, and then very quickly realized that there were a lot of other races that were having a primary, and we had to send out questionnaires, review them, investigate them, interview them, and then come up with a proper way of thinking whether they fit with our values or not. So really want to thank that group. And also out of the people we endorsed, unfortunately, we were not able to get 100% success rate into making it to the general, but all except one candidate, which we are very sad by, and still hope that we'll have another round at that in another election cycle. But everyone else has made it to the general race, which is great for future allies within Congress, assemblies, city councils, and such. So thank you.
Thank you for all the work you've been doing. All right, so next one. I don't know if Damanjan is on the line.
I'm here, but I'm also driving.
You are.
Yeah, thank you, Faribajan. I think she covered most of our collaboration with the outreach committee on identifying all the members that we used for the text message campaign. So I appreciate that. So I think that's covered, and also the paid members that you have on the slide.
Yes, I want to point out that thanks to Malahat, she invested the money and was able to purchase the list of all Iranian Americans for text banking. So it was a little over 15,000, and she generously provided that list to us. That's 15,000 self-identified Iranian Americans, Democrats across the state of California, and so she sent a text about our election, and which really brought a lot of the members and a lot of people who had been already involved in the conversation and the concept of putting IADC together. So when we went into the election in November, we had 55 members, and since then we've only added 3 more. It is mentioned in our newsletter every time, and we have pushed for it on the social media. But it's definitely somewhere that we need to concentrate on. Finance, Azijan, you're here. Would you like to do the finance part, or would you like me to take care of it?
It hurts my throat a little bit to talk right now, so it'd be great if you could.
Sure, no problem. So we do have, one of the tasks for the steering committee was to approve the annual budget, and we did do that. Initially, we put in the quite a bit of a budget for getting our website together, but thanks to Dom and John, we have a wonderful website. If you haven't seen it, please go and look at it. It's amazing. Here's the values page, but if you were to go in our home page, It's loading. You'll see that there is quite a bit of information. This is the Pride Month, so we have that, and we have a lot of other information about who we are, our candidate spotlights that we've done, but we also have our endorsed candidates, the 15, with a lot of information about them. And this has been a collaboration, obviously, with Dom John helping out our digital media committee that is led by Ali Reza. So if you haven't looked at it, if you wanted to know more about our endorsement process, which was that amendment that we did with the bylaws, the content of it is here. If you want to know about when our meetings are taking place, you can go to our events calendar, and in there you will be able to see the activity. So this time this month of June, we only had the central membership committee test today, but if you were to go to July, you'll see that there's quite a bit of committee meetings. I want to remind everyone that the membership to our subcommittees is open to all members. There is no appointment needed. All you have to say is, this is a topic that I'm interested and I like to help, and we welcome you. Only the chairs are appointed position. And so, again, I hope that we see more of you if you're not already involved in any of those subcommittees, that you get involved with that. So the reason I went on a tangent was to say that we end up having quite a bit of like $500 extra money in our hands, since all the work and even investment in getting the domain and everything was done by Dom and John. And so we were able to repurpose that money for the text banking effort that we already did for primaries, and we have already confirmed that we will be doing another round of text banking for the general. We did also, thanks to Susan John, who put us in touch with a gentleman that is in Northern California, who is a finance manager, is an independent finance manager, who offered to do our financial FEC reporting pro bono. And so that was another thing that the fundraising committee did. Ozzy is our elected treasurer, and we do have an a online bookkeeping tracking document that we keep track of all our expenses, and everyone in the steering committee has a view only access to that. And obviously Ozzy and I have edit access to that, but also Jordan would have access to that file to be able to do our quarter end reporting. This would be the first quarter end that we will be doing the reporting, because we have just opened up our 2 bank accounts. It was jumping through a whole lot of rings of fires in order to be able to get approved to have a state PAC account, bank account, and a federal PAC bank account. So right now we have $1,657 in the PayPal. Those are all from membership dues. We do get donations, so if you would like to donate to the organization, and even have suggestions on how we should be best using that money, you are able to submit your donations through our website. I'll just roll into our digital media. We have social media accounts that they're active, and there is a form that has been created that all other committees and members are able to submit requests for highlighting any topics that they have. Let's say if they have a committee meeting or something, they can request and say why they want it or when they want it to be released. And with that, I'm asking everyone who's here that is good writers, is passionate about some certain topic, that you would think that it will help educate our members and the community at large, that please write to us. If you have been tooling about writing an article, it doesn't need to be a long article, but as long as it's educating and it's factual, please submit your pieces. It will really help us to have more material for our social media and also for our newsletter if it fits that. I know Iris John is at work, so I just took the privilege to cover that part. And I know that we're kind of running late on our timing. We started a little bit late. So the challenges that we have right now is that we need to increase regional participation, and that increasing regional participation is both in our endorsement process, where we would like that those who are in the area establish connection with Iranian Americans who are running for positions or allies that are in the position, and then connect them with the endorsement committee and provide their feedback on there. And also, it's to get the name of IADC out to increase our newsletter, and hopefully, when they see the work that we are doing, they also become members. Fundraising, right now we have 15,000 Iranian Americans that we could send them, but we just don't have the budget to send it for 15,000. And so therefore, if we were, right now we've only budgeted for another 4,000 text banking to go out. If you can, dig deep and donate some more money to the organization, we definitely will be able to increase it. And Damunjan is our master data person and make sure the money is being used to send text messages to very targeted selected group where we would be able to truly support our endorsed candidates and encourage folks to actually vote. As I mentioned, increasing membership. And one thing I want to point out is that our endorsement process, first of all, is the fact that IADC is not a club. As I mentioned in the very beginning, we are a nonprofit organization for federal purposes and a public benefit organization in state. We are a state and federal PAC, political action group, and committee. And so in the committee, since we only meet on quarterly basis and we need to have quorum and all that, although we want to make sure that the voices of the membership are heard, and within our bylaws, we have a requirement to send in advance notices to all the membership that we intend to um, um, review an endorsement request by an individual, and we encourage everyone to provide either positive or negative testimonial on that candidate. We're not specifically asking the membership to vote. And we are sort of a representative democracy where the elected officials are the ones that finally are voting. Those would be our regional chairs, our appointed committee members, and the steering committee folks that, the officers that have been elected by the membership. And again, we do this solely because we are very pressed on time, and we just don't have. We're not like a club that we meet every month. Even with club meeting, unfortunately with CDP, the way they are scheduling their e-board or central committees are giving very short notices on their early endorsements. It's almost impossible, even with clubs, to hold meetings and be able to get their 60% thresholds. So when we come to Q&A, if anyone has any concerns or suggestions, we're happy to hear from that. But I just wanted to make sure that the part of this process, I make it very clear that this has been a deliberate, setup in order for us, being that we are fully a volunteer-based organization, and it's a statewide organization with so much to cover that we would be able to act quickly and diligently on the endorsements. So some of the opportunities that are present, and I'm hoping that perhaps those who are on the call would be able to put a hand up, is that we need to have more community collaboration and increase our membership. We will be working on setting a set of policies. We have our values now about policies that are targeted and unique to our community. For instance, making sure that Persian language is recognized an official language in the state of California, or adding MENA as one of the categories on any formal form from census and all that. And a recent position that has come up open is that our chair of North Cal region, Susan Jun, had resigned from being in that position for personal matters. However, our vice chair, Imanjan, has stepped up to the chair position, and therefore the vice chair position is now available. So anyone who is in the North Cal and is on this call and or knows of any other person that would be willing to get involved, I would appreciate if you let me know before our July 21st steering committee meeting, where I would be providing my suggestion to the committee and seeking their approval of that. Last is here are things that we have had in our, that we will have. The endorsements for the November election coming, and we will be looking at proposition and measures that are going to be submitted for the November ballot. The deadline is tomorrow. We intend to have some educational seminars, and we would be soliciting more input from our membership, and we intend to amend our bylaws, because our bylaws right now does not require a general membership meeting, but we believe that it's very important for engagement. So we will be proposing to amend our bylaws to add a requirement for a semi-annual general meeting, as we are doing today, and obviously the IADC election in December. So that concludes our presentation. I'm so sorry that we really went on. There would be opportunity we do our Q&A, but at this time, I like to switch over to Sherwin John, if he's available.
I am. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Thanks.
So Sherwin John, we wanted to say that we're so proud of your campaign, and you did great work, and we want to hear more about your campaign. If you've done any sort of root cause and lesson learned items that you would share, and mainly, what is it that an organization like IADC can do for new candidates like yourself, and what are your suggestions?
Yeah, absolutely. And, so honored to have IADC support for our campaign. Thank you all so much for everything. And my apologies in advance. I'm a little distracted while speaking here before you all. I will say, just over the past couple of weeks, my wife and I, we had our firstborn during the campaign, and I can't say how blessed I feel, finally feeling like a father, kind of being able to have uninterrupted time with him. But, in terms of the campaign, I'm going to be very candid. We reached close to 217,000 voters in our district through our field program. Through canvassing, through phone banking, through our handwritten postcards, our driveway discussions, and our text banking, we reached that many voters. And, we raised just under $300K without taking a dime of corporate PAC money. We didn't take a dime of money from real estate developers and law enforcement. We were outspent by the incumbent 10-1. And for the first time in his tenure, we really made him campaign, invest close to $1 million of his own money trying to win re-election. And I'm going to be very upfront. We learned on election night that just 3 weeks prior, on May 13th, KDEM CDP had done a straw poll of our district, and that showed us in second place with 24% of the vote. And it was in response to our strong showing that the incumbent sent mailers to Republicans and independent conservatives. You may have been hearing in the news articles from NPR and other sources about how that's a tactic the Democratic strategists have been pushing incumbents to use everywhere from Colorado. I don't know why he's shaking his head back and forth. From Colorado to Michigan to Minnesota. And in addition to that, he got Representative Ted Lieu, to endorse him and run ads in the southern portions of our new district that were previously in Ted Lieu's, namely Brentwood, the Palisades, Sawtell, and other areas. Showing photos of him next to Bernie, how he's fighting the big banks on Wall Street. There, Daddy's trying to talk right now, bud. And those two things together, did us in. But we secured more than 15,000 votes. We ended up in third place. We will be doing a full autopsy of the data from our district. It'll become available next week once the county finalizes the results. And we'll be doing a very deep dive. Where did our votes come from? Which demographics? Which neighborhoods? Had they received a postcard from us? Did they get phone banked from us? Or whether just an organic vote, someone just came across our website and decided to vote for our campaign. So be able to share all that information and really be able to assess how much, if at all, we galvanized the Iranian vote. As you all know, our district, we had Encino, we had Woodland Hills, we had Tarzana, Sherman Oaks, Persian Square, Brentwood, and so much more. A very, very powerful Persian cohort of voters. As we know, our community is not a monolith politically. No community is a monolith politically. In our district, a great deal of Persian voters are no party preference, independents. My parents are an example of them. And in that last kind of 2-week stretch, we were on 4 different Persian TV interviews. We were with VOA, Iran International, and 2 others that I know my grandparents and others watch on GLWs and other networks. We were on the front cover of Javanon. So we did a lot of outreach to the Persian community. And I'd love to be able to work to answer your question, Sudi, about how IADC can work better with Iranian candidates. Would love to include you all once we've done the initial assessment of, how many Iranian-born voters did we receive, and then doing a deeper dive into how many Persians overall voted for us, and kind of working together on, if we didn't turn them out as much as we should have, how do we really motivate Iranians to turn out to the polls? Because we know we can be a very powerful voting bloc if we want it to be, especially in Southern California. And I think, I can't tell you how many Iranian youth approached us after the primary saying, thank you, finally, as an Iranian, to finally give me someone from my community who knows my mother tongue, someone to believe in, a progressive that I can actually believe in. So we know we did everything right. We know we have challenges to learn from, mistakes to learn from. I know I want to make changes to field going into the next campaign, and I want to make it clear I'm leaving all options open, not going anywhere. Still involved in the community, as we know. We have a Supreme Court hell-bent on overturning civil rights. We have a feckless Democratic establishment that wants to recite poems but not actually fight for the platform they say they care about, as their bread's being buttered by the same corporate donors they're accusing the other side of being beholden to. So the work is plenty, and despite the outcome, still incredibly proud and incredibly grateful of all the work that IADC did and everything we accomplished, and the movement continues.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I know you were on Radio 670 also, right? I know Ali Reza and I were talking, and he's saying, yeah, I'm excited Shervin's going to be joining. And like he asked me, do you know Shervin? I'm like, Baba. So yes, it would be interesting. And, to tell you the truth, that, coming to third is awesome. And it's very great to see that, other Iranian Americans, like Shebra and Sarah, have been able to advance, even our Afghan sister, Bahab she had advanced. So definitely we're getting better at this, because I remember working for Kia Hamidanchi's
Right.
campaign. That was like 3,000 votes. In Orange County, like Irvine. I think his parents invite people, want to invite throw a party, they can invite more than 3,000 people. So yeah, so this has definitely been a success and a great stepping stone, and we really appreciate considering your, parental duties, that you took the time to be here as a member and as an endorsed candidate. There is a question. I think Mayamjun has her hand up. Mayamjun, go ahead.
Thank you, Sudi June. Hi, Shervin. Congratulations. So I just wanted to say that I live in Shervin's district. I did, in fact, vote for him. So when you do that deep dive, hopefully that'll come out. But I wanted to compliment you. I think some people on this call know that I've eyeballed a couple of races. I've never gotten in because they look daunting. And watching you do it reminded me why they look daunting. I think you ran a great race. I do agree that he had to defend himself. I live in the Palisades. So it's a new portion of his district, but he did have to defend himself. He did have to spend some money, and you did make some headway. So I was proud to watch that. What I wanted to share with everyone, and you too, is that I'm the parliamentarian on our local Democratic club. And even though our Dem club didn't like the incumbent, they endorsed him anyway, because they said, well, he's the incumbent, and that's what we do, and what would we do if we didn't endorse him? And they not only did they not like him, they had quite a distaste for him. Right. Still came out with an endorsement. So if there's anything I'd like to change, it's to give Democrats, especially Democratic clubs, the ability to think a little bit independently and just take a leap of faith and endorse someone that's actually good versus establishment. So that feckless Democratic Party you were talking about starts down on the ground.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. And thank you for everything, Madam John. I know we had some conversations about that Dem Club and opportunities to get in front of them. Again, not going anywhere. 2024 is right around the corner. And we've been hearing some rumors about what the race is going to look like. So there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah, I think he's definitely Mu'tazazel. So hopefully you're going to get back in it again. Okay. And thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Anyone else has any questions or the encouragement for Shervin Jana? Would you like to share? Oh, Maz, go ahead.
Hey, Maz.
Hey, Shervin John. Hey, I want to thank you also for running. It's not an easy job. I work very closely with a local candidate as well.
Kylie.
Just between, Kylie. And I'm just going to say this. You were an amazing candidate. I mean, just looking at the way you think about policy and the way you understand policy, and you understand politics. A lot of people don't. And very grateful to have supported you and to be able to, it's not about identity for me, the Iranian American. I mean, I know a lot of us probably feel like we're very underrepresented, but we really should look at more about the policies that you were for. And so it was an honor to support you, and I hope you continue to run.
Thank you so much, Maz John. Thank you for all the support you gave down from San Diego, all the invites you shared with us to come down and speak. I know you all have your work cut out for you down there in Scott Peters' district. Someone who's visibly much more of a villain, given some recent votes compared to our incumbent. So I'm really hoping that in 24 you all can get rid of him. But in the meantime, definitely really appreciate you. Please let me know if you're ever up in LA. Any of you, if you're ever here in Los Angeles, we'd love to meet you all in person. Mariam John, I know we haven't had a chance to grab coffee or anything yet. We'd love to do that. Because again, there's a lot of work left, a lot of ways for us to continue getting involved. We're going to be doing a rally this Friday in our district against Caruso. Knowing that we have a candidate, who's just Trump in blue clothing, who, thank goodness, Karen Bass put some distance between herself and Caruso. But those early votes, you look at a breakdown of Los Angeles on a map, the valley was green, which was Caruso, and lower parts of LA were purple, which was Bass. And we got to fix that problem because that district overlaps, that map of all the Caruso votes overlaps with our district quite a bit. And there's a lot of conversation we need to be having within our own families, with our own colleagues. Again, going back to my earlier comment about Persians not being a monolith, there's some tough discussions that need to be had.
Yeah. I would love to talk to you about that. Caruso has a very strong footing here in the Palisades. I think that was by design. He brought that development here in Brentwood too, but there are a lot of Iranians here. There are a lot of Democrats that are on the fence. And it's funny when you look at that map and you see where the purple is.
Yep.
Very interesting. thoughts on the e-board and anything that you think is a significant? I'm not sure. I still haven't been able to get consensus of how many people plan to actually attend the e-board. But Sharon, anything you're watching for in the e-boards coming up next weekend?
Nothing in particular, but happy to be a resource in any way.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so we have 7 minutes and here, and Shervin, since you have the floor, you have any recommendations as far as outreach, membership, anything we should be doing better as IADC, not as a candidate, but now to speak as a member?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think given the fact that this group is still very young, you all already established a footprint. And that speaks to just all the hard work, all the tireless efforts put in. But I think, hosting more events, even if it's smaller in-person events, I feel like with our community especially, that's the best way to get people involved. Zoom can be difficult, and I think if there's a way for us to be able to mobilize our own families here locally, and I'm going to be speaking to my parents, aunts and uncles who live here in the Valley to sign up for IADC, join meetings, and start getting really active. Because again, we can really be a very powerful voting bloc, and I think the text messages, the emails, a lot of that definitely resonates with folks, with younger Iranian voters, but thinking about folks like my grandparents and their generation. If we want them to get involved in IADC, I think a way of doing so, perhaps even going to some of the senior centers and introducing IADC, I think are great ways we can be creative, think outside the box about bringing the message of this group to our older generations as a way of really getting them involved.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Amen. And can we count on you to be more involved now with IADC and help implement some of these things?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
I'm loving this image of fathers with their infants.
Look at this.
Yes.
Makes me want to go grab my son now.
Can I just say, with this renewed involvement, Shervin, definitely we could use some help or wisdom or a roadmap in fundraising, and you probably have some ideas. So maybe one day, if you want to share those, it'd be great. Yes, Sudi?
Yes, and if you'd be willing to, at least for the next 6 months, be chairing our fundraising committee, that would be awesome. We'll be, the rest of us will help, but we are all accounted for on it's at least 1 or 2 titles. So if you're willing and able to take that on for the next 6 months, that would be great.
Definitely willing to help. Absolutely. So yeah, let me know when the next meeting is. We'd love to get more involved.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Sweetie John, I was going to say, let him take a breather for a minute.
No.
I
was going to say, fundraising is probably not his favorite activity, I would guess. But
speaking with voters is always my favorite activity. Getting in front of people, but my campaign manager drilled call time into me, so I've developed a little bit of a rhythm for it. So happy to share some of those pointers.
Awesome.
To share some lists and some good donors. So yeah,
that'd be great. That would be wonderful. Ozzy, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just listening to this whole conversation, it kind of reminded me of I don't know how you guys, your guys' parents are, but mine are pretty. I mean, my father passed away, so I'm just gonna say my mom now are pretty progressive liberals. They were in Iran. I'm assuming that's why most of us ended up as immigrants here, because somehow they couldn't really get along with the government. My parents were professors in Iran, who were very politically active, but due to either language barriers or cultural barriers, they haven't been as active. My mom hasn't been as active in this country, but when I take her to things that I know other Iranians are at, and she feels like she's not just an American person, like at that event, she's more likely to get involved. I know this. I've witnessed it myself multiple times. What if way down the road, and I don't mind helping with it, we have an event just for more driven for our parents and us, around Mehragan or Yalda, like in December, enough time that we can plan it. But like a fun, just community event, that we can bring our parents to and hang out with, maybe invite them to talk about their experience politically, like in Iran, just their thoughts and stuff. I just think that having a sense of community would really allow them to get more involved and other people too. And then I was just thinking, I mean, maybe even to start planning for it now, because it will take time to organize for Sizdabedar, like next year, to have, like I go to Irvine Regional Park in Orange County, but for us to have like a canopy there set up, just to be present, I think at events like that, or even for Sharshan Bishuri, like to go to them and be available. I think it will be a wonderful way to draw folks in.
Yes, definitely. Obviously, we are geographically spread. Sorry if you hear the puppy in the background. We are geographically spread, so hopefully, maybe each region can do perhaps in the Orange County, LA, we could do the same thing. But yeah, we could have a day, a community day, perhaps a picnic that in September when it's not as warm, and then each region would have one, and we'll do an outreach and invite everyone. Definitely, it's doable. Nidajun, you have your hands up. Hands up, please.
Yes. I just wanted to share. My son, a college student at NYU, at the beginning of COVID, he was one of the founding members of Iranian Students Organization there, and they went to a virtual format. They started something called Chai Chats, and it was a bi-weekly event. And then as they went back last year in person, he said that it was really, really quite successful, because all they essentially did was somebody brought, boxes of shirni, some type of cookies, and literally had set up a samovar in their case, Washington Square Park, but wherever, and I'm just thinking, from the engagement point of view, just having something, whether it's at a nursing home or a community center or a Sizdabeda or some occasion where people are very inclined or want a connection, it doesn't take much effort. It's just a matter of calendaring it, as we talk about, or maybe having something standing. So whether it's 5 people that show up or 55 people that show up, they say if you build it, they'll come. You really are only putting yourself out there once or twice, and then it snowballs, hopefully. And so I think it is a really good idea to just put something out there and see what happens. I think nothing replaces the connection, and I think about what Shervinjan said. Just putting yourself in front of people. Putting yourself in front of people creates scenarios that allow you to then fundraise, to organize, to rally around a cause. Just something.
I like that a lot, and I think one of the things I would love to stay true to is like, although we're not a monolith, we all keep saying that, is something that's culturally relevant to us, that we grew up doing or our parents grew up doing, like Shuni and Chai, somewhere public just randomly. We don't have to do it in the way that a lot of us do organizing here when we're working with, a lot of American organizations, like it can just be something that is very relevant to our culture and wholesome to our culture to connect with. Because I don't know about you all, but as I get older, those are things that I want to connect with it just a ton more. Like the last 2 years, I've been growing what, inevitably comes into S-band when I dry it. And I just mail it to people for Yalda. Like I post it on my Facebook, I post it on my social media, and I'm like, I put it in these little baggies. I'm sure it's terrifying if someone were to open it at the post office, but I just mail like expense. So like it grew with like 10 people. I would just post and be like, I'll mail it to you for free. And like 10 people requested it. This last year it was 150 people. It ended up costing me a bit, but I did it anyway. So I just think like it'd be great. Like I like Shirni and Chai in a random park once a month. And anyone can stop by.
I'm going to do some
sounds
message for you that you did that for so many people.
I know. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely have to get innovative. I did put in the chat the donation link. And one thing I can say that we will be posting this video, in our YouTube channel, and then we'll send the link out to all of our members who possibly have missed it, but be able to look at this and at least have the update and listen to this. But there would be more conversation. Keep the ideas coming. We will be having our you know quarterly meetings in July. I appreciate all of you continue to support. I'm so happy that we will have our full steering committee with Sherwin as a recommendation as Sherwin to be appointed as the finance committee lead in our next steering committee. And anyone knows any Democrats that are in the um, Northern California, please let me know if we can do an outreach to them that they would like to get involved and perhaps help Iman John on his endeavors in the region. Thank you very, very much, everyone. If nobody has any other comments or questions, I'm going to wrap up this recording.
I want to give you a big shout out, Sudhi, John, for getting us to here and putting all the infrastructure in place and the organizing that you did. It is not a job that a lot of us are good at or are willing to do. So, and you've done an amazing job. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. It is definitely a passionate endeavor, and I'm looking forward to Neda Jun and Alex John to run for their regions in the next time, and I will pass on the torch. Ozzy was surprised that when I told her that I would not be able, according to our bylaws, I will not be the acting president comes at the end of this year, and she's like, that can't be. I'm like, no, it will, and it is by design. But I'm very, very happy to stay engaged, and I will be staying engaged and supporting in any way I can. But also happy to transition in January of 2023 to our regional chairs in LA, whoever may that person be.